Hi, and welcome to my conversation with John Alexander as we celebrate his 40th anniversary with Pacific Chorale. My name is Rob Istad, and I'm the assistant conductor of Pacific Chorale. I've had the honor of working with John Alexander for almost 10 years now, and I am so excited to be here with you today, John. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me. Could you talk with me a little bit about the process that you enacted to begin assembling repertoire for a concert that's entitled Your 40th Anniversary? How do you
it's a very strange thing to start with. It's because it's something that the ensemble has decided to do to honor me, and that I'm supposed to do the programming. I say, okay, how do I program something to honor myself? I determined that for the first half of the program, I was going to do works that were about the excellence of the Pacific Chorale and about the singers of Pacific Chorale, because they are the reason I've been here for 40 years. And so I wanted to do something of Beethoven, but of course I can't do the ninth and I can't do the Missa Solemnis. I have to have something small. So the first piece on the program I selected was what is often called the Hallelujah, Beethoven's Hallelujah Chorus. It's the final movement of his oratorio Christ on the Mount of Olives. And it's not really a Hallelujah chorus, though. When choruses do English translations, it starts out with Hallelujah, Hallelujah. But the real German is Welken singen, which means the whole world sings. Yeah. And to me, that is a text about what Pacific Chorale is about, and what choral singing is about, and what my career has been about, is that the whole world does sing. You know, there's more people in choirs than any other artistic activity in this world. I've lived with this piece all of my life. I've done it with church choirs, I've done it with, with community courses that I conduct. I just absolutely, we've done it for the choral festival that we did. Yes. I did it a couple of years ago for the choral festival, but it's a great piece. It has great meaning to me because it's been with me my whole life.
The next piece on the program is a work by Johannes Brahms.
I chose the Segerstrom for this concert, which I have never conducted before. It's been on my list of things to do all my life because it's a Brahms work I haven't done. But this was the time, because I was looking at the Brahms Requiem, and the Segerstrom was written immediately after he composed the Requiem. I mean, it was like, as soon as the Requiem was premiered, he started composing the Segerstrom. And some people call it his Little Requiem, as a matter of fact. I mean, sometimes it gets that title. And the first verse is all about the beauty of the way the gods live in their bliss. That they have nothing to worry about, and that life is wonderful. It's like the idea of, you have the good angel here on this side. It's all about the good angel and the great life of the gods. The second verse is a totally different picture, and it's about all of the turmoil that we have to live with in our lives on earth. And it's about how mankind can just fall into the abyss, whereas in the first verse we talked about the good life the gods have. What is so truly extraordinary about it is that Brahms takes the beauty of discussing all of the text of what the gods, how the gods live, and he takes the theme of all that positive feeling that he puts in the opening orchestral prelude and the first verse sung by the choir, and he brings it all back at the end. The orchestra plays this gorgeous postlude without words. So the problem is not resolved of the good versus the bad, but the good comes back in the end purely through instrumental sonority.
Next, Morten Lorentzen.
Morten Lorentzen. Skip Lorentzen.
Yes, and you and Skip, as you call him, have had a very long history together. And what made you think about putting his new setting of the Gregorian Ubi Caritas et Amor immediately after Brahms?
The text of Skip's work that we're doing, Ubi Caritas, is to me one of my favorite chant texts, where there is love and charity. God is there. And it's such a positive statement. I originally had it set before the Brahms. I was going to put the a cappella piece second. I moved it because you completely discard. It adds to the third section of the Schicksalslied of the Brahms, the orchestral section that brings back good. It continues goodness and brings it in to not to the gods but into humanity, with this idea of love and charity being the essence of our lives.
You then end the first half with a compositional bang.
With a big
So to
bang,
say.
right? You know, I talked about that the Beethoven is a Hallelujah, is often called the Hallelujah Course of Beethoven. Well, this is definitely the Hallelujah Course, and it's a real Hallelujah Course because it starts out Hallelujah. But this is a setting, the Bruckner is a setting of Psalm 150. Bruckner shows who Bruckner is by the way he sets this. There is this overall triumphant feeling of hallelujah and of joy. There are beautiful, serene moments that give you extraordinary contrast and wonderful structural contrast. So that ends my first half, which is all about showing off the chorale in different styles, and I think the variety that we're going to have there is, the audience is going to love it. I think there's a lot to grab hold of and a lot of variety in it.
I agree. And so as we move into the second half, you said you were drawn to the idea about musical texts about music.
Right.
And the first piece on the program is a piece by Finzi entitled For St. Cecilia. And could you tell me a little bit, this is a work that rarely do you hear American choirs performing. Where did you find this piece and what really drew you to it?
I love Gerald Finzi. I just think he's extraordinary. This piece is a really dramatic piece. I wanted a text, even though we're talking about St. Cecilia, it's actually a very secular concept of poetry that Blinden gives us here. But the poetry is as much about the English choral tradition as anything else, in that he's giving us a sense of St. Cecilia as a legend. The setting of the poetry I love. It's dramatic, okay? It's theatrical. I mean, he is a very theatrical composer. He takes every issue of the text and just milks it like you would if you were going to a music theater piece. But it's very skilled writing at the same time.
The orchestration is very colorful.
Oh, the orchestration, I think he's a very skilled orchestrator. So the Finzi is sort of my lighter side of the program. It's to just put a smile on everybody's face, that's my goal, and to think about the power of music and how it affects us.
Now, we're moving on to the next piece in the program, and I'll say that I was one of the people, one of the singers. A number of singers sort of chided you into putting one of your own pieces on the program. You're a composer. Yeah. And I know you felt kind of strange about it. Yeah. But you finally agreed with us, thank you very much, to feature one of your pieces. And how, out of all of your pieces, why did you select Musica?
Musica has been with me a long time. I wrote this piece just after my father died in 1996. I wanted to do something in honor of my dad. The initial composition of this was, I want to write a piece about my dad. And my dad was a wonderful conductor himself, and a voice teacher, and was such an influence on my life and for me becoming a musician. It was all about this text, because it's what I believe in, and the text translates it in Latin. It's an anonymous text. We don't know where Orlando de Lasso got it, but at the same time it says something important. Music, the gift of the highest God, draws men and gods, small, to it. Music calms angry souls and uplifts sad spirits. Music moves even the very trees and the wild beast. I just love that statement, and I think that music has that ability in our lives. So it's basically, the text is the reason I chose this, and the influence of my dad, because it's a very personal piece for me. And the chorale hasn't done it for a long time, and I appreciate everybody wanting me to do one of my pieces, so this is what I chose.
It's a gorgeous work. It's a gorgeous work.
Well, thank you. Well, we go to the grand finale.
Exactly.
So we talk about the grand
finale of the concert, of your 40th anniversary celebration concert, as a piece by Jake Heggie.
Opera people say he's a music theater composer. music theater people say he's an opera composer. So it's...
And Jake keeps writing hits.
And Jake keeps writing things that work. I wanted, for the opening of our new hall in 2006, to have a grand bang theatrical finale. And so I'd become friends with Jake at this time, and so I asked him if he would do that for me, just write me a big finale that would be a big bang hit. Well, in the meantime, from the time that he agreed to write the finale for that 2006 concert, Hurricane Katrina happened. New Orleans is my hometown. They came up with this extraordinary work that is about Bruce Springsteen.
You know, what did you think when you got that?
Well,
you know,
what was his whole title? I can't remember. It was
Seeking Higher Ground. Bruce Springsteen Rocks New Orleans.
Bruce Springsteen Rocks New Orleans, right? Seeking Higher Ground, right?
Yeah.
When Springsteen brought this music festival, New Orleans was down, down, down. Everybody was down. Everything was down. And then Bruce Springsteen came up with this idea of having a jazz music festival in the midst of all this
destruction.
It was truly an extraordinary event. It turned the city around because the city is about music and always has been, and they did a New Orleans festival and everybody had a huge party, and it sort of just turned everything around from all the mess they had dealt with Katrina. The text itself shows the power of music. What happened with Bruce Springsteen in New Orleans shows the tremendous power. I talked to you about the text of the music piece that I wrote. The power that music has. The power of the legend of Saint Cecilia. Music, it's been my life, and it's been an empowering force. And Lord, how happy I am that I've had this life of music.
We want to be sure to invite all of you to join us for the performance on Sunday, November 6th at the Renée and Henry Segerstrom Concert Hall in Costa Mesa. It's at 5:30 p.m., but you don't want to be late. If you come at 4:15, we're going to have a New Orleans Dixieland Jazz Band there in honor of the maestro and his hometown. And also everyone that comes will get a glass of champagne to celebrate and raise a glass to his wonderful accomplishments in choral music in Southern California for the last 40 years. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll hope to see you at the concert.